Imagine riding across an unforgiving frontier in a wool uniform under a punishing sun, knowing that some of the very citizens you protect deny your humanity, and yet you ride, you serve, you build, you endure. In 2025, Congress is considering whether to award the Buffalo Soldiers a Congressional Gold Medal. This film asks, what did they build, whom did they protect, and what does the nation owe them now? Congress authorizes 6 all-black regiments in the aftermath of the Civil War. The 9th and 10th Cavalry, as well as the 24th and 25th Infantry, are associated with the core identity that the public remembers as Buffalo Soldiers. The nickname Buffalo Soldiers is often attributed to Plains tribes who recognize the troopers' strength and tenacity. Whether the moniker originated as a sign of respect or practicality, the soldiers adopted it as a badge of honor. Recruitment meant opportunity, but also separation. Black soldiers could serve, but the Army kept them in segregated units with limited pathways to commissioned leadership. Daily routines included long patrols, caring for horses, drilling, and building. The units constructed roads, strung telegraph lines, escorted wagon trains, protected stagecoaches and railroad workers, and mapped terrain in places where maps barely existed. They fought when ordered, but they also negotiated, translated, and escorted, tasks that rarely make monuments, yet stitch together the fabric of civil life. The paradox of doing the unglamorous labor that makes a nation possible, while often being denied the full rights of that nation. On Cuba's hillsides, the 10th Cavalry and other black units demonstrated battlefield discipline and courage, participating in actions around San Juan Heights. Counterinsurgency work demanded navigation skills, small unit leadership, and emotional restraint amidst harsh conditions and moral complexity. Press accounts alternated between praise for heroism and silence about the prejudice soldiers faced when they returned home. Detachments of Buffalo Soldiers served in what would become national parks, patrolling backcountry, preventing poaching and illegal grazing, and building trails and facilities. They modeled a stewardship ethic that continues to guide Rangers today. Regimental bands lifted spirits. Boxing and track nurtured physical excellence. Chaplains sustained mental resilience. Non-commissioned officers mentored new recruits, passing down fieldcraft and quiet pride. As the Army swelled, black units trained thousands, proving once more that professionalism is a universal language. Veterans came home with a straightforward question. If they could fight for democracy abroad, why not experience it at home? The momentum, moral argument, and practical realities of modern warfare pushed the military toward change, culminating in Executive Order 9981, 1948, that desegregated the armed forces. After the color line fell, institutional memory risked fading. Veterans and local historians preserved stories, founded museums, and organized commemorations. A Congressional Gold Medal is symbolic, not transactional. It says, the story belongs in the nation's center, not its margins. Bipartisan proposals in Congress seek to award a Congressional Gold Medal to the Buffalo Soldiers as a collective. The question is not whether they were brave. It is whether we are finally brave enough to honor the truth of their service. Honor looks like a child who recognizes a cavalryman's insignia and knows what it meant. It looks like leaders who quote Buffalo Soldier history not as trivia, but as doctrine, preparation, patience, and principle. It looks like a country that understands infrastructure and security were built by hands that were often unwelcome at the table they set. Did you know? Some Buffalo Soldier units served as the earliest stewards of national parklands, years before a formal National Park Service existed. Regimental bands were recruitment tools. Concerts in frontier towns drew crowds and goodwill. The soldiers' horsemanship standards influenced later cavalry training manuals, adopted across the Army. veterans formed civic organizations that funded scholarships and community service projects, linking discipline in the field to dignity at home. Vignettes: Patrol, Post, and Pride. The Midnight Ride. A small detachment escorts a telegraph repair crew through a storm. The crew reaches a relay station, and messages go through that save time-sensitive shipments. The Campfire Classroom. An NCO teaches a new recruit how to read a map by starlight and how to listen for the difference between wind in grass and hoof on gravel. The Parade Ground. A regimental band closes with a hymn. A child in the crowd points, and a parent whispers, "Those are the Buffalo Soldiers." The frontier is history, but the frontier ethic endures. Do the work nobody sees so that everyone can see tomorrow. A gold medal would not create their legacy, it would align the nation's honors with its debt. Which unsung labor keeps your community running, and who does it? How should nations balance celebration with reconciliation? What would it mean to teach Buffalo Soldier history as required learning in civics and environmental stewardship? If you reach the end, please give me a thumbs up in the comments. Thanks for watching.